I'm Devin Kelly, VP of Marketing with Spreedly. I've been here about 8 months at this point on the Spreedly team, but have known RevBoss and Eric and kind of the founding story there for a number of years. So it was exciting to join Spreedly, and the kind of RevBoss relationship was long existing before my arrival. So it was nice to jump in and get a chance to work with the RevBoss team upon my arrival. So Spreadly, at this point is, into its decade plus in existence. So, kind of think of many of our go-to-market strategies as fairly mature, but also, an opportunity to continue to grow out of what is has been a very developer-led sale in the past into what is becoming an increasingly business buyer-led sale. And so a lot of the marketing tasks and go-to-market challenges that we faced were around kind of shifting that story, shifting our positioning, shifting our go-to-market motions from what was once a very technical sale to a sale that's becoming a little bit more ROI focused every day. And so in a technical space, which is payments industry and selling into what is often a technical implementer in a developer in the payments industry, things can get very complex very quickly. And so much of my task coming in was helping us kind of level up thinking, messaging, and go-to-market tactics that resonate with a new buyer who is increasingly kind of unsophisticated, but looking to be more dynamic with the way they use payments to improve their overall customers' experience. Yeah, so I think, since I've come on board, I've really seen a lot of tactics at Spreely that are being executed really, really well. And a lot of the unlock that we've had has been combining those, high performing tactics in ways that allow us to get more value out of the things we're already doing and we're fairly good at, and kind of RevBoss and Outbound being one of them. But we have long kind of invested heavily in events and have had great speakers at events and done a great job of hosting and highlighting our customers at events. So one of the things we did at the beginning of this year was look to do outbound around kind of invites to these kind of industry-wide events, and also follow-ups on the customer stories or the panels that we had hosted at these events. And we found that to be very successful for us and kind of a repeatable playbook that we could run throughout the year. So that started with a test on one or two events back in January, now rolling all the way through our first half event calendar and into the second half of the year as well. We've also played a fair amount around with things like vertical-based campaigns or lookalike type campaigns, and looking for attributes that we can identify there, and then how that helps us model customers as we look at different kind of account-based or go-to-market motions. One of our newer kind of, again, 1+1=3 type activities is as we've highlighted or told more customer stories with the launches of case studies and things like that, which we've always done. We've always had great customer stories to leverage. Now, as those customer stories come to life, we're actually taking those customer stories back to some of the lookalike and AI type audience modeling, and said, hey, we've got a great customer story to tell with somebody that looks like you. Let's go build not only our targeting off of that, but also let's share the customer story as an example of the work that we've done, so it's highly relevant to those audiences. So we've got kind of a logo in our back pocket with something new and timely to highlight and say, would you like to see if Spreely can be helpful to you as well? So those are just kind of a variety of things that over the last 6 months or so, we've found that, we've been able to test, we've been able to find something that works. And, sometimes it is really combining, not just, one or two of the activities that you have, but, multiple different kind of campaigns or ideas into, effective outbound that helps it, perform better than average, because you have something new, you have something timely, you have something urgent with something like an event that allows you to see increased performance. So I would highlight RevBoss's flexibility really in thinking about ways to be creative in identifying and looking to get the most out of the insights that we can share. I think that flexibility has led us to find kind of unique applications to like outbound, and like you can look at that as, well, it's just sending email, or you can look at it as like, this is a really cool way to tell the right people the story we have to tell at this moment. So how do we figure out who those people are, right? And that leads us to like, hey, we have a new customer story and it's for a customer like this. How can we find more people that look like that? Maybe it's not just the industry vertical. Maybe it's people who, attend a certain event, or, are, interested in similar content or other things like that. And so just the flexibility and the willingness to like experiment with things. And there are multiple times that we've had Google Sheets up of prospects that we've gone through and thumbs up and thumbs down to a variety of them to say like, that targeting worked, or that one definitely didn't. We do that kind of continually. So I think it's a willingness to bring what are sometimes probably half-baked ideas to the table, and have the account team at RevBoss be willing to say, hey, let's see what we can do with that, and spin that back to us. And it's a team effort to work through which of these things are effective and which of them aren't. And certainly not all of them work or land, and they certainly don't the first time. But just that back and forth, the relationship there, the willingness to collaborate and say, how can we find the optimal use case given the work Spreedly's already doing that may not be associated with RevBoss every day. Like, we bring those opportunities to the table. RevBoss brings kind of thinking to say, here's what we can do to expand upon that. And then, over time, we've been able to find 3, 4, 5 plays in 6 months that are repeatable and that we can build upon. Yeah, so I mean, we have attributable leads from RevBoss that we can obviously point to and see how those move through. But as always in B2B, you've got a long feedback loop there on how and when those progress. So that's always a challenge, whether it's RevBoss or any other top of funnel partner there. But we do have that data. We do track that all the way through to close, and obviously want to see some of that progressing. But a lot of the feedback there comes from a much tighter feedback loop with our sales team that's picking up the phone or talking to the folks who are on the meetings that RevBoss is helping us set. And if those conversations are productive, if those people are well educated, if they're able to have productive forward moving conversations in that discovery call, I look at that as a success for our team and RevBoss's activity. From there, it's kind of up to the sales team to move that forward and find the place where Spreedly can add value or move things ahead. But there aren't a lot of ways you can kind of queue those conversations up these days. So like, you can wait for folks to come to you. You can go find them. You can kind of approach that a whole variety of ways. But if we have good feedback coming from our sales team saying this first conversation with somebody who was smart, who understood what we did, and saw a use case, like, that's the quick turn feedback that we're looking for in terms of evaluation on like less than quarter over quarter effectiveness.